Now, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The cheese market in Italy and in Europe. Now, before getting into the details of the cheese market, or before speaking about any market, well, you need to know the context in which you operate. And this is the reason why I shall be speaking about something else over and above the cheese market. I shall be starting about speaking the retailing industry in Italy and in Europe, and then we shall also consider the trends of cheese markets in Europe and in Italy, and I will be giving you data about consumption in these markets. Now, on the slide, you can see the macroeconomic data, which you have to take into account. GDP growth is very weak, minus 0.5 in March, and consumption in 2013, which are decreasing by 2.6%. These are the official data. We have not only the retailing industry, we also have the automotive market, consumption, electronic industry. So minus 2.6% is a strong data. Inflation rate 0.6%, which as you can see has decreased versus 2013, and this is the consequence of a very complex economic situation that we shall analyze later on. And unemployment rate in March 12.7%, which is a very concerning figure because it reflects the overall conditions of the economic system, which doesn't manage to create jobs. Here you can see the euro area. Within the euro area, over the past, in Q4 of 2013, GDP grew by 0.5%. However, by considering different countries, we can see that Italy has recorded a figure of minus 0.8 in Q4 2013. But if we exclude Greece, which is a country that has a number of problems that we all know, well, apart from Greece, Italy really is lagging behind in Europe. And here, let's see the main sales channel, the retailing industry in Italy. Here we're speaking about packaged products sold within the major retailers. You can see that the value of sales in the first 4 months of the year have grown by 0.3%, whereas volume is going down by 0.4%. What does that mean? We keep speaking about recovery, small recovery, but this data tell us that we are keeping afloat. In 2013, for the first time in 30 years, we had negative figures within the major retailers, minus 0.6 value, minus 0.4 volume. In 2014, we have for the first time a positive value, which is reflected by the price trend by 0.7%, which is in line with the inflation, the official inflation rate. Let me draw your attention on the bottom left chart. We can see that 28% of revenues is made through promotion, but we have a negative figure for volume. Now, this is not the venue of getting into these details. However, this figure tells you that there is a problem mainly of efficiency, which is related to the high number of promotions within retailers. Promotions are going up in number, volumes are decreasing. And this is very important, especially for us who monitor the sales of packaged products within retailers' stores. And this is a new thing which is coming out over the past 6-12 months. This was a phenomenon that gave us signals of weakness some time ago, and now it is coming out quite strongly. Now, if you look at the different market segments, well, we see something else. If we are now used to have segments like personal care or products for the home that are associated to negative figures, and it has been so for some time now, even including products like soap. Well, apart from this, you can see that food products have negative volumes in 2013, but this data is confirmed also in the first few months of 2014, although the decrease is not that strong. Now, in the retailing industry, we have seen figures around zero in the past few years, but foodstuff have always been if you wish, the trendsetter. Foodstuff have always maintained the industry of packaged goods lively. Now, this trend in 2013 and also in 2014, well, you can see that figures are negative, although the value trend shows a little pickup by 0.5%, which shows that foodstuff are going through some difficulties. Beverages. Now you can see here that because of the weather conditions, warmer climate, this segment is moving quite well, mostly because of the weather conditions. Here we also include water and beer. Now let me move on to the European context, and let me show you the main European countries to tell you how cheese consumption is going. Now, when we speak of cheese, we are relating to all of the cheese categories, so a very wide context. We have two divisions which reflect the data collection system that we have in each country. France and Italy, they collect data on imposed price and variable price. Germany, Greece, Spain and UK only collect data on imposed price. Now, we are, however, interested in looking at the trends of this macro segment. What do we see from trends? Well, first of all, the figures are not robust. Italy is well in line with the figures of other countries, but we can see that France is the only country with a positive trend, both in volume and in value. And we then have the data of the United States here at the bottom of the slide that we can use as a reference point, as a benchmark. What's happening overseas? Well, despite the volumes being quite large in the USA, well, we have data floating around zero, although in the USA data are slightly positive. Greece, which is interesting, which has macroeconomic conditions which are quite difficult, but when it comes to cheese consumption, data are negative, but not that negative. Now, let me move on to the Italian market. The Italian market is quite big, it's huge, considering the number of people living in Italy. Over 6.1 billion euros. Well, this means that it is one of the most important markets when it comes to cheese. It's very close to that of frozen products or baking products, which is very, very large. So cheese accounts for one of the top three segments of the retailing industry. Here, however, on the chart, you see red figures, negative figures, minus 5% of value and minus 0.2% in terms of volume. So, when it comes to cheese, we're not used to this kind of situation. Cheese in Italy has always been one of those market segments which have always fared well, even during the crisis. Whereas this year we are starting to see negative trends appearing. These are very weak signals, and we have weak negative figures, minus 0.5% in terms of revenue. But we need to take situation into account, as we shall see later on, the fresh food stuff industry has changed considerably. That is another sector that has always fared well. So there's some food for thought here. Let's see Italy again, and let's see the world, so to speak, of variable and imposed weight. Now, these are two different worlds for us who study these industries, but they have also different dynamics, different strategies, different promotions, and different types of cheese sold. Now, the first data that comes out is that up until last year, variable weight was losing importance versus imposed weight, whereas now this phenomenon is no longer there. Variable and imposed weight have very similar trends. What do we see here? We look at the price. Well, we're not speaking of the same cheese at variable weight being more expensive than the same cheese at imposed weight. We have different types of cheese in these categories, but here you can see variable weight products are flat, whereas imposed weight products are growing by 1% in terms of price. On average, we have 36% of volumes being sold through promotions. Okay, we know it. We're speaking of supermarkets, and this is a dynamic that we usually find associated to different product categories. But this is a strong data, and you look at the difference between variable and imposed weight. These are very concerning data. Even in the world of cheese and in the world of packaged cheese, we have promotions going up and volume going down. And here we see the same dynamics and therefore a loss of efficiency, which is represented by the stronger use of promotions. Here you can see the same chart on the different types of cheese categories. Now, fresh cheese minus 1.9, which is another strong evidence, another strong data. I mean, fresh cheese account for about 50% of the market. Hard cheese, Grana Padano, Parmesan cheese, and the other hard cheese are the only segment which is growing. No doubt, if you look at the bar chart below, you have the same representation. Hard cheese is the only product category which sees a decrease of prices. Why? Because this is reflected by the attention of the consumer to even minimum price changes. And here, behind this phenomenon, you have policies implemented by consortia, the greater attention devoted to hard cheese over the past few years. This is the only product category that has a positive sign. And it is the only product category which sees a reduction of the average price. Now, let me conclude this overview by getting into the different products. I mean, we have only macro categories because there are a number of categories. Here we see only the main ones. Now, the first data that really hits you is the one represented by colors. You see a lot of red color here. We saw the same chart last year, and it was completely different. We had a lot of green bars and a few reds, whereas this year we see a lot of red bars. What is the product category which is growing at the moment? You see here other fresh products. Here we are speaking of a marginal segment with feta, tofu, and other fresh cheese. You see a very lively indication. This is not to say that you should invest in these products. These are very small market segments where you have a number of promotions adopted by companies that can really have an impact on this trend. But there is also a cultural phenomenon which leads people to look for new fresh cheese, perhaps because Italians like to eat something which is not typical of Italian. The same applies to other seasoned cheese. which is the other one with the green bar. Now, when we speak of other seasoned cheese, does not account for 100% of the seasoned market. These are the products which are driving growth, like Asiago, Gouda, Bergader. These are the products which are driving growth in this small segment of other seasoned cheese. And then we have hard cheeses, 0.5% growing. We're not used to see the industrial fresh products like Philadelphia or Yoka cheese. These are spreads, industrial cheese, and the like. We're not used to see negative data associated to them. But please remember that we are looking at a year which concludes in March. Well, this year we have data which are associated to a negative sign. So what can I say to conclude? Well, I can say that the world of cheese at the beginning of 2014 is starting to show some difficulties, although we can say that such difficulties are mild, but it is nonetheless starting to show a trend which follows suit the trends in the whole of the retailing industry. And so cheese is also experiencing some market difficulties. Up to 6 months ago, we did not see that kind of trend. And this is a kind of a warning signal. Well, we'll have to see next year when we come back in this venue, and we shall try and understand which direction we're going. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.